The party was in full swing. The kind of gathering that blurred the line between celebration and chaos. Music pulsed through the living room, glasses clinked in countless toasts, and laughter echoed from every corner. I had been looking forward to it all week, not for the excitement or the drinks, but simply to spend an evening with my wife, Emma, and our friends. It had been months since we'd had a night off from work, obligations, and the relentless routines of life, and I wanted to enjoy it. At first, everything seemed normal. Emma was radiant, laughing freely, her dress catching the light in a way that made her shimmer. I felt that familiar warmth in my chest, the one that reminded me why I had fallen in love with her in the first place. We danced briefly, holding hands loosely as the music carried us across the floor. Her smile was infectious, and I allowed myself to relax, letting go of the stress and tension that had accumulated over the week. But as the night wore on, I began to notice something subtle, a shift in her demeanor. She leaned closer to me more often, brushing her fingers against my arm, whispering playful things in my ear. At first, I welcomed the intimacy, thinking it was her way of enjoying the moment, of sharing in the joy of the party. But then, there was a look in her eyes, something unspoken, urgent, almost insistent, that made me hesitate. It happened in the middle of the living room, surrounded by friends and music. She stepped closer, her face soft and inviting, and tried to kiss me. At any other time, under different circumstances, I might have leaned in, but tonight was different. Something deep within me stirred, a mix of exhaustion, unresolved tension, and the faint shadow of doubt that had been lingering all week. I pulled away gently, placing my hands lightly on her shoulders to create space. Her eyes widened slightly in surprise, a flicker of confusion crossing her face. "Not tonight," I said softly, my voice calm but firm. She looked at me, searching my expression, trying to understand. "Not tonight," she repeated, a hint of disbelief in her tone. "Yes," I said, taking a deep breath. "Tonight. I just can't." Her shoulders slumped slightly, but she didn't argue. I could see the disappointment, the questions unspoken, but also the trace of understanding. She had no words, and for a moment, the music and laughter faded around us, leaving only the tension between us. I pulled her gently to a quieter corner of the room, away from the crowd. "Emma, it's not about you," I said, feeling the need to explain without over-explaining. "It's about me. I've had a long week, and I'm exhausted. My mind is all over the place, and I can't give you what you deserve right now. I don't want to pretend, I don't want to force it, and I don't want to disappoint either of us." She nodded slowly, her eyes softening. "I understand," she whispered. I wanted to feel close to you." "I know," I said, taking her hand. "And I want that too. But tonight, I need a little distance, just to catch my breath, to reset. It doesn't mean I don't love you, it just means I'm human. And sometimes, even love needs patience." For a few moments, we stood there in silence, the party continuing around us, oblivious to the quiet exchange that had taken place. I could feel her presence, warm and steady, even without the kiss. And in that moment, I realized that intimacy isn't always about physical gestures, it's about understanding, patience, and the trust that allows both partners to respect boundaries without resentment. Later, we returned to the party, mingling and laughing. Our earlier tension diffused. I noticed how she seemed more relaxed, almost relieved, as if the simple act of acknowledging my limits had eased some unspoken pressure. We danced again, not intimately, but with lightness, sharing the joy of the evening without expectation or demand. As the night progressed, I reflected on what had happened. It was a small moment, seemingly insignificant in the grand scheme of the party, yet it carried profound meaning. By saying "not tonight," I had asserted a boundary without causing conflict, without humiliation or anger. I had preserved my energy, my focus, and my emotional integrity. And Emma, in turn, had accepted it with grace, demonstrating trust and respect that deepened our connection rather than weakened it. The experience reminded me that relationships are not built solely on grand gestures or constant passion. They are built on communication, understanding, and the ability to honor each other's needs, even when inconvenient or unexpected. Saying no, even to someone you love, is not rejection. It is recognition of personal limits, an affirmation that love can coexist with self-respect. By the end of the evening, as the party wound down and guests began to leave, Emma and I sat together quietly, away from the lingering crowd. We held hands, a simple gesture that conveyed more than words could. There was no awkwardness, no lingering tension, just a shared sense of comfort and understanding. Looking back, I realized that small moments like this define the health and depth of a relationship. It isn't about denying affection, it's about timing, context, and mutual awareness. By acknowledging my needs and communicating them honestly, I had not only preserved my dignity, but also strengthened our bond. Emma's response, her patience and comprehension, revealed a level of maturity and empathy that often goes unnoticed in the rush of daily life. In the days that followed, I noticed subtle changes in our interactions. We communicated more openly, checking in with each other about needs, desires, and emotional states. That single moment at the party had become a turning point, a quiet lesson in respecting boundaries and fostering understanding. It was a reminder that love thrives not in constant acquiescence, but in balance between giving and receiving, between closeness and space. Reflecting on the night, I also realized something important about myself. I had allowed societal expectations, the pressure of the crowd, and the assumption that love requires constant affirmation to influence my actions. By pulling away and saying not tonight, I reclaimed my agency, honored my own limits, and reinforced the idea that self-care is an integral part of any healthy relationship. It was a subtle victory, quiet yet significant. The party continued, laughter echoing into the night. But in that moment, Emma and I had shared something far more intimate than a kiss. We had shared understanding, respect, and trust, the foundations of a partnership that could withstand challenges far greater than a single evening's temptation. That night, I learned that love is not about constant giving without pause. It is about the rhythm of connection, the awareness of limits, and the courage to communicate honestly. Saying not tonight was not rejection, it was affirmation of what mattered most: respect, patience, and the enduring strength of a bond built on trust and empathy. And as we left the party hand in hand, walking into the quiet of the night, I felt a sense of peace and gratitude. The music, the laughter, the fleeting distractions of the evening faded behind us, leaving only the clarity of understanding and the quiet joy of a relationship that could weather both desire and restraint.